The call came at 2:17 a.m. on a Thursday. Karen Aldridge dropped her wine glass when she heard the words. It shattered across the kitchen tile, and she didn't look down once. A girl matching Emma's description just walked into the Millhaven Police Department. She's asking for you. 10 years. Emma Aldridge had been gone for exactly 10 years, 3 months, and 11 days. Karen knew the count the way she knew her own heartbeat. Automatic, constant, something that never stopped even when everything else did. She and her husband David drove to the station in silence, doing 90 miles an hour through empty Pennsylvania roads. Neither of them said the thing they were both thinking. Don't hope too much. Don't let it break you again. But then they walked through the precinct doors and saw her, sitting in a plastic chair under fluorescent lights, wearing a white dress with no shoes, and Karen's knees buckled. Emma. Same dark hair, same small nose with the faint freckle on the left side, same brown eyes that caught light like creek water. She looked up when Karen came through the door, and her expression did something complicated, a half-second delay before the smile arrived, like a video buffering. "Mom," she said. Karen crossed the room in 4 steps and pulled her daughter into her arms and sobbed so hard she couldn't breathe. David stood 2 feet behind, hands pressed over his mouth, tears running silently down his face. The detective on duty, a heavy-set man named Pryor, gave them space before gently explaining that Emma couldn't answer most questions. She didn't know where she'd been. She didn't know how she got to Millhaven. She knew her name, her address, her parents' names, and not much else. She was 8 years old, the exact same age she'd been the night she disappeared. The hospital ran every test they could think of. DNA came back a perfect match, clean against the samples Karen and David had submitted a decade ago. Doctors used words like extraordinary and unprecedented and we'd like to run further studies, and Karen tuned them all out because none of it mattered. Her daughter was home. On the drive back from the hospital, Emma sat in the back seat and watched the passing streetlights with an expression Karen couldn't quite name. Not wonder, not relief, something more focused than either, like she was memorizing everything. Karen reached back and took her hand. Emma's fingers closed around hers, warm, small, real, and Karen exhaled for what felt like the first time in 10 years. She told herself everything was going to be okay now. She was wrong. The wrongnesses started small, easy to explain away. Emma didn't remember the name of their old golden retriever, Biscuit, who died 2 years after she went missing. She called Karen's sister Aunt Rachel instead of Aunt Ratch, the nickname she'd used since she could talk. She ate her grilled cheese without asking for it cut diagonally, which she used to cry about if Karen forgot. Small things. Alone, each one meant nothing. Together, they built a shape Karen didn't want to look at directly. What she did notice, what she couldn't explain away, were the questions. Emma asked constant, quiet, careful questions about everything around her. What time did the neighbors leave for work? Did the family across the street have a dog? When did the mail arrive? She asked about Karen's co-workers by name, though Karen had never mentioned them. She asked about David's commute route with the focused interest of someone planning a trip. David called it readjustment. "She's been gone 10 years, Karen. She's recalibrating. Give her time." Karen gave her time. Then came the dinner that ended her doubt. Karen's closest friend, Dana, came over, her first time meeting Emma since the return. Dana had moved to Millhaven 7 years ago, long before Emma disappeared. There was no overlap, no shared history, no photographs of them together, no mutual friends who could have described Dana to a missing child in any universe Karen could construct. Emma looked at Dana across the dinner table and said, completely casually, "You changed your hair. You used to wear it longer." Dana's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. Karen felt the temperature in the room drop. "Honey," Karen said carefully, "you've never met Dana before." That half-second delay, the buffering, then the smile. "Oh," Emma said. "I must have seen a photo somewhere." The conversation moved on, but Karen watched Dana's face for the rest of the evening and saw the same thing she felt in her own chest, a cold, formless wrongness with no clean name and no clean explanation. She couldn't sleep that night. Neither, it turned out, could Emma. At 1 a.m., Karen got up for water and passed Emma's room. The door was cracked, the light was off, but Emma wasn't sleeping. Karen could hear her voice, low and steady, barely above a whisper, running through something in the dark like a student reviewing notes before an exam. Karen pressed close to the door and listened. The mother checks the locks at 10. The father sleeps on the left side. The aunt visits Sundays. Dana's number is in the phone under D. The neighbor to the left leaves at 7:15. The one on the right doesn't have a dog but wants one. Karen stood in the hallway with her hand on the doorframe and didn't breathe. She pushed the door open. Emma was sitting up in bed in the dark, eyes wide open, voice cutting off the instant the hallway light fell across her face. "Bad dream," Emma said immediately. Karen stood in the doorway looking at her daughter, this perfect, ageless, freckled copy of the girl she'd lost, and felt something crack open in her chest that wasn't love and wasn't grief. It was the cold, specific terror of realizing you are standing alone in a house with something you do not understand. "Go back to sleep," Karen said, because she didn't know what else to say. She closed the door. She walked to the kitchen, sat down at the table, and stared at the wall until 4 a.m. In the morning, she called Detective Pryor and told him everything. The wrong nickname, the grilled cheese, Dana's hair, the whispering in the dark. She told him all of it in one long breath, like she was afraid she'd stop if she paused. Pryor listened without interrupting. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "Mrs. Aldridge," he said, "I need you to come in without Emma." His voice was steady and professional, and underneath it, like a current beneath cold water, Karen heard something else. He wasn't surprised, not even a little. Pryor met them in a back office Karen had never seen before. No windows, a locked file cabinet against the far wall, a corkboard covered with photographs that he turned face down when they walked in, then seemed to reconsider and turned back over. 6 photographs, 6 children, different ages, different faces, different states, all with the same quality behind the eyes, that watchful patience, that focused stillness, that particular absence of the thing that makes a child look like a child. 15 years, Pryor said. 9 documented cases across 4 states, missing children who came back, ages frozen at the point of disappearance, perfect DNA matches, no memory of where they'd been. He spread the photographs across the desk. In every single case, within 3 to 4 weeks of the return, one or both parents vanished. David's hand found Karen's arm. The children stayed, remained in the homes, assimilated completely. Neighbors reported nothing unusual. Schools reported nothing. In 2 cases, we have records of the child subsequently reporting a missing sibling who then returned the same way. The process repeated and expanded. "What are they?" David asked. His voice was so steady it frightened Karen more than anything else that had happened. "We don't know what they are," Pryor said. "We know they carry complete surface memory of the missing child up to the point of disappearance. We know they learn rapidly through observation and direct questioning." He looked at Karen. "We believe they're rehearsing, practicing how to fully become the person before they replace them." Karen thought about the whispering in the dark. The mother checks the locks at 10. The father sleeps on the left side. She thought about the real Emma, 8 years old, freckle on her nose, crying over wrong-cut sandwiches, and where that little girl might be right now, whether she was somewhere suspended, waiting, whether she was waiting for her mother. Where are they? The real ones? Pryor didn't answer that question. "Go home. Act normal. Don't let her know that you know. "We have a protocol. We need 48 hours." They drove home in silence. Emma was in the kitchen when they got back, sitting at the table with a sketchbook open in front of her, drawing something Karen couldn't see from the doorway. She looked up when they came in and smiled, that smile, that beautiful, half-second late smile, and said, "I made sandwiches. I cut them diagonally. I remembered you like that, Mom." Karen looked at the sandwiches. She looked at her daughter. She sat down and picked one up and took a bite and said, "Thank you, sweetheart." She smiled back. Underneath the table, her hand was shaking so hard she had to press it flat against her thigh to hold it still. Because the real Emma had always eaten her sandwiches plain, just buttered bread, nothing inside, never mustard, not once in 8 years. These had mustard, Karen's favorite. She was already learning to be her. The 48 hours passed. The team didn't come at hour 48. They came at hour 31, which should have felt like a relief and didn't, because when they arrived, the front door was standing open and both cars were still in the driveway and the house was completely, perfectly empty. Emma's sketchbook was open on the kitchen table. The drawing Karen couldn't see from the doorway was a list, pages of it, edge to edge, filled in small and careful handwriting. Names, neighbors, friends, co-workers, Dana, Aunt Rachel, Detective Pryor, each one followed by a neat notation, routines, schedules, habits, preferred sandwiches, everything needed to become someone. At the very bottom of the last page, written slightly larger than the rest, were 2 names Karen recognized, her own and David's. Both had a single word written beside them, underlined twice, complete. The team swept the house for 4 hours and found nothing. No signs of struggle, no forced entry, nothing broken or moved or disturbed. Just a family that had been there and then wasn't. And somewhere in Millhaven, in the grocery store, at the gas station, nodding hello to neighbors over the fence, 2 people who had the right faces and the right names and knew exactly how to cut a sandwich, learning, quietly, who else was left to become. 3 weeks later, a boy matching the description of a child missing for 8 years walked into the Millhaven Police Department. He was asking for his parents. Pryor took the call. He recognized the case immediately. He told the boy to sit tight. He drove to the station. He never made it inside.